Now, you might be wondering why we're hiding behind the sofa, but you know this Saturday sees the return of the classic Doctor Who?
After 16 years off our screens, Christopher Eccleston becomes the 8th ever time-travelling Doctor. We caught up with him and his co-stars on the set of the new series. On November the 23rd, 1963, William Hartnell materialised on British television as the first ever Doctor, launching the world's longest-running sci-fi TV series. He was, of course, followed by such famous faces as Patrick Troughton and John Pertwee, Peter Davison and the scarf-wearing Tom Baker, as millions watched, or rather listened, from behind their sofa.
Dalek. They're primitive, but undeniably a Dalek.
The original series was exterminated back in 1989, but the Doctor is back, travelling through time in his TARDIS as he prepares to regenerate for the 9th time.
Hello, I'm Chris Eccleston, and I'm playing the Doctor. I don't have a great deal of knowledge of the previous series, and that's partly as a kid I didn't watch it, and I made a decision when I got the role not to look back at previous Doctors because I wanted him to be entirely my own. The only times I was really that interested in Doctor Who, there was two things. The thing that looked like a baked potato. Somebody else would probably be able to tell you the name of it. It looked like a baked potato with eyes. There was one other monster that I liked. When we saw the inside of the Dalek, that was fascinating to a child. Frightened me to death.
What are you waiting for?
Just touch these two strands together, and the Daleks are finished. Have I that right?
To destroy the Daleks, you can't doubt it.
As can be seen by this classic clip, no Doctor is complete without an assistant, and the new series has just what the Doctor ordered.
I'm the Doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
She is, of course, former teen pop sensation Billie Piper, although, like Chris Eccleston as a child, she wasn't a big fan of the original series, but she was only 6 when it was last on.
I actually never watched the show when I was a child. It was always on in the house. And I remember certain iconic things, for example, the TARDIS and various different, Doctor Who's. But I never really watched a full episode in its entirety.
But having now completed an entire Doctor Who series, which took 8 months, did she and Christopher Eccleston get on?
What are you doing here?
I live here.
Well, what'd you do that for?
Because I do. I'm only home because someone blew up my job. We get on famously. I have learnt an awful lot from him.
Bye, then.
And what about the all-important on-screen chemistry?
The chemistry does work. I hope so, anyway.
Really, though, Doctor, tell me, who are you?
And as the Doctor and Rose prepare for adventures with the prospect of danger at every turn...
Run!
Does Chris Eccleston worry that die-hard Doctor Who fans might not approve of him?
I don't think there's any way I can ever win those fans over. There's a very interesting thing that goes on as a child. The first Doctor you see is your Doctor. What I'm hoping is that the new audience, the 8-year-olds, I'm hoping that I'll become their Doctor. Come with me.
Oh, fantastic.
Ooh, that's got the feel, hasn't it? And the man who's responsible for bringing the Daleks and the TARDIS back to our screens is lifelong fan and writer of the new series. It's only Russell T Davies.
Hello.
And when we were watching that, the question that Christopher Eccleston said, who were the baked potato heads? They were...
The Sontarans.
The Sontarans.
Of course they were.
You see, I don't remember them, actually. I think I must
You're
have
too
missed
young,
a bit.
Fern. You're too young,
Well, I
frankly.
remember the early bits. William Hartnell, you see, that's the tragedy.
Don't believe it.
But how fabulous that you should be chosen. Were you chosen, or did you say, I'd like to do it?
I'd been saying I'd like to do it for years and years and years, and eventually someone listened. I think I just wore them down like a dripping tap in the end, and they said, let's bring it back, and they asked me. I was so happy. Brilliant.
How big a fan were you?
Really love it, honestly. It's like, sadly, I recognised every single one of those clips, and I say sadly, I should be proud of my fandom, because I really love it and really thought it had a lot of potential to come back. That's the most important thing. It's like we're not recreating that 70s and 80s stuff, because that was beautiful in its time.
Yes.
It is 2005 now, so I hope I had enough perspective on it to bring it back but not be a slave to the past sort of stuff.
And this is the man, of course, interestingly, who's written Queer as Folk, to
Yes.
lots of controversy, the current Casanova, which
Yes.
is doing so brilliantly.
Oh, thank you.
But then before that, you were doing the children and family
I worked
entertainment
for
as well.
many years when you were in that broom cupboard, Philip. I was working at the Children's BBC and BBC Wales, and
Yeah.
I loved children's television, absolutely loved it. Children's Ward at Granada, I
Yes.
wrote and produced that. I loved that sort of output, and this is a chance to, I mean, this is for adults as well, but coming back to write this was the first time I had a chance to write for that audience, having done all that adult nonsense.
So much more sophisticated this time, though, because we, as TV watchers, expect so much more, don't we?
Yes, it has to be. It's like there is no way you could go back to the old production values, and they work very, very hard under very difficult circumstances. Bless those people who made the old show. But, you know, now you've got Buffy and Smallville and all those wonderful shows and Harry Potter films. And, you know, my nephews and nieces have watched the Harry Potter films just on constant rewind.
Yes.
And so you've got to be able to match that and give something new to it as well.
She, J.K. Rowling, nicked the idea for the TARDIS, didn't she? What did
Well,
the
it's in
Quidditch
Harry
tent?
Potter and the Goblet of Fire, I think. There's a
Yeah.
tent that's bigger on the inside than on the outside. It's just part of the language, isn't it? It's such a good idea. That, you know, I loved it when I read that. I thought, oh, someone's using it.
You've kept the Daleks,
Yes, absolutely.
but now they can get up the stairs.
With ease, with a lot more
With
ease than me,
ease?
actually. Yes.
Really?
I'm getting very old
Can
and
you
creaky.
tell us how?
But they've got marvellous jet controls underneath, and
course.
up they levitate. It's brilliant computer effects and stuff like that.
Same sort of voices?
Same voices, absolutely unchanged. A man called Nick Briggs does the voices, and he's wonderful.
Yeah.
Shall we have a quick reminder of Daleks?
The old one?
Yes,
I'll be
quick.
behind the sofa
Go
again.
on, go on.
A Dalek. Dalek. Very primitive, but undeniably a Dalek.
You're mistaken. It's a Mark III travel machine.
You say so.
Alt. Turn left, move forward. That's magnificent. He's perfected voice control. Turn right. Move forward and circle left. You will agree, I think, that voice control represents an enormous step forward. However, the best is yet to come.
But it's not upstairs.
Oh, yes. Do they still say exterminate?
They do.
Oh.
They're
Why are
great.
those the horrors of our childhood? You went right the way back in your
There's something
childhood
absolutely
memories.
brilliant about Dalek. I swear to you,
Yeah.
you get one on set and no one can look away from it, and
Yeah.
everyone has to go up to it and touch it. There's something really magic about it that works. It's the lack of human contact in it. There's no eyes, there's no
Do the
visible
Cybermen
features.
come back?
No, they're not. But I love them, and I hope if we run and run, then I'd
Then
love
you
to
can
bring them back one day.
again. But you've
Absolutely.
got some new and amazing monsters
have
and scaries.
gorgeous
They're in all the
creatures,
papers
yes.
today. Shall I have a look here?
There they are.
Okay.
That's the steward
Right.
in the middle.
Should we... Well, okay, here, I'll have a close-up of one of these. You tell me what this one is, Russell. Let's have a look.
In
What have you chosen?
the
All right,
middle,
the
that's
middle?
the steward, who's a good guy, actually, who has a awful death in episode 2. Bless him. He's only on screen for 10 minutes and then suffers terribly. Wonderful actor called Simon Day. Brilliant. He's an
Okay,
official.
and we're going to have a look at the back... hang on a minute.
Who's that?
Lady Cassandra.
That's Cassandra, who is voiced by Zoe Wanamaker, and she's had so much plastic surgery, she's just become a sheet of skin.
We've interviewed people like that.
Exactly.
Who's it? Who's that? Is that based on anyone?
No, it was that. I got the idea for that watching the Oscars ceremony. Seriously, where you see so many beautiful women distorted and on the point of death, I think, but by having to be ridiculously beautiful and thin. I was sat and watched that. I thought I've got to make that into a monster and exaggerate it. That's what you get the chance to do on Doctor Who. Is to
These wonderful names. Hop Pylene.
Hop Pylene.
Where did that come from?
I just sit at home and make them up.
Do you
I have
really?
a drink, frankly, and off I go.
You're supposed to be a scary, serious writer. This is marvellous.
Bottle of brandy.
The
lovely.
Mox.
The Mox of Balhoun.
Yes.
I think I had too much to drink. Actually.
He's
Yes.
short, bulbous and blue.
He
there
is
he
short,
is.
bulbous and blue. We
He's
all know
pla-
that feeling.
He's played by a 3'8" actor.
A lovely man called
In a
Jimmy
latex
plays
suit.
him. Yeah.
But small is not always beautiful, it says here.
Yes. A lot of these are the
Face
good
of
guys.
Bo.
Actually. The face of Bo.
Can you have... oh, hang on. The face of Bo. Can you see that one up there? There we go.
He's huge. He's about sort of 6 foot tall. You can't tell from that photograph. Bless him.
Evil enemy, a giant pickled head with dreadlocks and fearsome staring red eyes, always guarded by... What do you think he'd be guarded by? No. 2 blue children.
Who'd have thought?
Oh. That's
Oompa Loompas,
spooky.
really.
But as you say that, I mean, you've said to the die-hard fans, trust me on this.
Yes.
Because come with me on this new journey, because there is a huge responsibility. You are handling something here that's very close to a lot of people's hearts.
Absolutely, that's true. And not just the die-hard fans, but actually anyone of a certain age. I think sort of between 30 and 40 and older remembers it with great affection. It was once watched by about 19 million people.
Oh, it was a big event.
It was extraordinary. It was as an event, and we're hoping to sort of bring that event back. You know, I really hope it works.
And Christopher Eccleston himself, Doctor Who, is it true that he emailed you or the BBC and said, I want to be Doctor Who?
He did, because I'd worked with him before.
The Second Coming.
The Second Coming.
Brilliant.
On that, bless you.
Yeah.
And we'd mentioned his name, and to be honest, I wouldn't have thought he'd be interested. And then out of the blue, this email came saying, put me on the list. He's very modest. He didn't say, I want that part. He said, could you put me on the list of other people?
Yes.
So, and that was it then.
But he has that mysterious element about him, doesn't he?
He's great fun in this series. Yes, he's got a sort of dark edge. He's good fun in this.
So you've sort of redone the Casanova, and Doctor Who brought back with a vengeance, looking fantastic. What's next? Are you
I
going
think
to
it's Howard's Way, really. Howard's Way.
Yes,
Bring it back.
Blake 7.
Could I come into it? I'd like Howard's Way. Could you write a part for me?
Jan's Fashion Shop. How marvellous
Could
is
we
that?
do that?
Yes.
We could do
Come
that.
on.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you
very
Russell.
much.
Pleasure.
And we
Very
hope
nice
it is
to meet you.
a monster success.
I hope so.
Thank you
Will
very
be.
much. Yeah.